Dun, 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 dun. Football's back, baby, and it's Giants Cowboys at MetLife Stadium to kick off their season. So let's break down this divisional matchup from the Dallas side of things, of course, with manager and editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, and he's also the host of the Ochoa and SB Nation NFL show. He is RJ Ochoa, and he is back for another edition, well, this first-year edition of Know Your Enemy. RJ, man, thanks for coming back on, man. How things going down there in hot Dallas?
It's great to see you, Brandon. It's definitely very hot. People are very anxious for the fall weather to start to kick in. High school football has been going for a couple of weeks now. You mentioned Dallas, the Fort Worth area, saw Coach Prime's debut with Colorado last week. So it's nice to get the Cowboys in action and have everybody rocking and rolling.
So you guys already got some of your football fix with, I mean, down in Dallas, you guys, in Texas, you guys started everything, absolutely everything early. School, they've been going to school since April. But let's get right up into this, man, like this matchup. It seems like the NFL schedulers, they have some sort of like thing, some sort of fetish with scheduling with Dallas and New York, the Giants, on opening night. So the Cowboys pass rush obviously is something that Giants fans are kind of fearing heading into this game. Let's break down this matchup. Cowboys pass rush versus the Giants offensive line. We know what we saw in last year's two games. So I'm going to ask you, is the Cowboys pass rush more dangerous this season, and can you see your boys getting after it again?
You know, optimism certainly reigns supreme across the NFL this time of year, but I absolutely think the Cowboys pass rush is just as good as it's been in the Micah Parsons era. Micah's obviously an incredibly gifted player in his own right, but he has a lot of talented pass rushers around him. DeMarcus Lawrence, I think, is finally starting to get a little bit of respect. He's been kind of an underrated player within the division as far as pass rusher conversations are concerned. Sam Williams is a second-year pass rusher who the Cowboys have, who really started to kind of come along and find his form over the second half of last season. The Cowboys also have talented players, among the interior of the defensive line. Mozzie Smith, their first-round draft pick, Neville Gallimore, Osa Digizua, and the thing about Dan Quinn is he uses all sorts of players. Leighton Vander Esch has put his hand in the ground and rushed the passer so far up to this point in the preseason and training camp period. And yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the deepest and strongest area of the Cowboys roster, and that's on a team that has a lot of areas that I really like.
Yeah, 54 sacks last season, I believe. And like you say, if they're even more dangerous than last year, then Daniel Jones could be off his mark and he could be running for his life. Speaking of Daniel Jones, he got that bag over he got the extension over the offseason. But Joe Schoen did a great job, I believe, in adding some playmakers. And last season, Micah Parsons said that the Cowboys defense only game plan for Saquon. Giants have some playmakers in the mix in this passing game. So what are your thoughts on Dallas's secondary versus the new look Giants pass game?
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret that for a little while now, things have been not so difficult for the Cowboys when it comes to matchups against the Giants. But I think that has really changed. This is no longer a two-game series that you can overlook if you're a Cowboys fan, because the Giants are kind of starting to turn that corner. And, look, Darren Waller is obviously kind of the name that's headlining things. Jalen Hyatt, I can't believe how far he fell in the draft. It feels like that's going to be something that annoys the Cowboys and Eagles and Commanders for the foreseeable future. It's tough. I mean, I trust the Cowboys secondary. You mentioned getting the bag. Trayvon Diggs got paid as well over the course of the offseason just about a month ago. Malik Hooker got an extension with the Cowboys. The Cowboys have one of the better safety rooms in the NFL, and they obviously traded for Stephon Gilmore over the offseason. And so while I trust them, it's definitely a taller task to go to bat with these particular skill position players as opposed to what the Cowboys have dealt with in the past. Because to your point, Saquon Barkley didn't go anywhere. He's still going to be there as well on top of all the other players the Cowboys have to contend with.
Yeah, now I always think that when you have such a dominant pass rush, it makes it a lot easier on the back end when it comes to secondary. And I think Stephon Gilmore was a great addition to add a veteran presence like that to go opposite as CB2 as Trayvon Diggs. Another news that kind of broke during the offseason was Mike McCarthy. He's now running the show on offense. So from what you've seen, not only in training camp, OTAs, but in the preseason games as well, do you like the move so far? And what kind of game you think that he's going to call against Wink Martindale and this Giants defense?
Yeah, I think Mike McCarthy really was very patient with allowing Kellen Moore to serve as the play caller for the Cowboys for the last 3 years. And I think that, we're going to see a lot of the same sort of things. The Cowboys, didn't change a lot of offensive personnel. They did trade for Brandon Cooks, obviously, and obviously are now without Zeke Elliott for the first time in 8 years. But I really think that Mike McCarthy is going to be a bit of a revelation. He obviously comes from a West Coast offense. West Coast principles are kind of all over this place. I think the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are really going to be focused on getting the ball out quickly, on easy completions, on dumping the ball down, tight ends, running backs, things like that. Areas that they haven't totally utilized in the past, but that's why it was important to get a receiver like Brandon Cooks. CeeDee Lamb is amazing, and I think the whole NFL understands that by now. But the Cowboys didn't really have any wide receiver who could challenge opposite of him. And so it's all about easy, high percentage throws for Dak Prescott, and I think that he's going to be successful at commanding that over the course of the season.
Yeah, and a run game could help Dak Prescott as well. I believe last year he threw like 9 or 11 interceptions when he had the lead. So Tony Pollard signed that franchise tag. You also got Deuce Vaughn. How do you think McCarthy's going to use these two guys against the Giants' run defense that absolutely struggled last season?
There was a lot of conversation in the preseason about whether Deuce Vaughn could earn the RB2 role. I think if you're paying attention, if Tony Pollard had to miss a game for whatever reason, I don't know that Deuce Vaughn is carrying the ball 18, 19 times. Deuce Vaughn is his own weapon. He's his own thing. And I totally envisioned the Cowboys utilizing him and Pollard in the screen game, in the passing game, getting them out in motion. And for that matter, I would add Kevontae Turpin, who most people kind of know is only a return man for the Cowboys. We've seen him evolved a lot more on offense to this point. And so they're among the faster players on the Cowboys offense. And that's what it's about, getting them in space, putting the ball in their hands, making them or putting them in positions to make dynamic movements. But obviously you do have to run the ball. And Mike McCarthy had a comment at the combine that was about wanting to run the damn ball all over the place. This is not a team that's going to play Army, Navy style football. They want to air the ball out. They know that their best players certainly can help them in the passing game.
Yeah, a lot of speed, a lot of playmakers on that Cowboys offense this season. Looking for Dak to have a huge game, and it all is going to start Sunday. Hopefully the Giants defense can neutralize that, but we'll see, man. When it comes Giants-Cowboys, it's always a great game. RJ, thank you for joining us, my man.
Thanks a lot. Good luck the rest of the season.